have to confess that I have been working on my presentation for about the last, let's say, 3 or 4 weeks, 3 or 4 days, and it was not coming together. So as I was practicing it last night, it was just not natural. And so I'm a normal early riser, so for whatever reason this morning I got up at 4:30, couldn't go back to sleep. So I decided, okay, we'll get the coffee on, let's get going with the morning and figure out what I'm going to do with this icebreaker. So as I was going through my morning devotional, and after I finished that, I was looking around, and I've been reading this book called Living a Life of Significance by Joe Jordan. And that grabbed my attention because that's really at the heart of what I do. So with that, I'd like to share with you a little bit about what I do. I stole his title, but it felt better and it was more natural. So at about 5 o'clock this morning, I started to rewrite the presentation. As I mentioned to Tom earlier, we'll see how this goes, and I have a couple of notes here. But I think we all have the ability to live a life of significance. And what does that mean for each one of us? And I guess I'll put that back in my life as it relates to that. So I had the opportunity back in 1993 to become a father. So I have will be a 21-year-old daughter this year. So happy Father's Day early, that's a couple days. She will be will be celebrating Father's Day through FaceTime or Skype, as she is a camp counselor. She's done that now for the last 2 years, working with kids. This year or this week, she is in a teepee. She's living in a teepee with younger kids at the church camp that she's a counselor at. She'll be a senior this year at Wheaton College and a psychology major. She's on the road team, so she's in a boat 5 o'clock in the morning on the Fox River outside of Chicago. A year later, and a month to the day, we were blessed to have a second child, Meryl. Now, Meryl's one of those that's like me. She gets up in the morning, probably would greet me before I got out of bed, and ready for the day. She this summer is also in Nebraska, up in Lincoln, doing an internship in the chemistry department. Had lunch with her on Sunday, and she is doing 3D printing. And I said, what is 3D printing? It's taking a little Lego, if you think of that, and basically putting it together on a CAD, and then developing this little Lego, and then they heat it up to see what it does afterwards. And I'm thinking, what's the end result of this? And she goes, I don't know. But that's what she's doing for her summer internship, and she's a chemical engineer major. So Brian with Black Beach, she's been at your office a couple different times, interested in knowing more about the opportunities there. And then I have Grace. In 2000, Grace was born. She's our California girl. She was born in San Diego. In fact, she's up at that same camp as where my daughter is this week. And so she's up there and enjoying summer as a 14-year-old should, and keeps us busy and keeps me young with a lot of different things that we do. A lot of people ask me if I have hobbies. And I did, up until my first child was born. And then the golf clubs kind of went off to the side, and the days going out to the duck blind kind of became fewer and fewer. And so my hobby now is a spectator. I've been to gymnastics, I've been to more soccer games, BOP fields, travel teams, rowing, and the like. So with that, that's a little bit about the hobbies that I have as a spectator. I have a spouse, Kathy. We've been married for 28 years. As I was talking to her about this presentation this morning, she says, as I was kind of explaining how I had redone the presentation, she says, I said, you're a team player, you're my partner. And she says, well, sometimes I'm a pain in the ass. And I said, yeah. And sometimes she gives me a kick too, so that's okay. But she's been a great partner, and we've been married for 28 years. Both graduated from Lincoln. Living a life of significance, and what I do in my current profession. I've been in the financial services business for 27 years. I'm an advocate for those people that are not around the table when the decisions are being made as it relates to the products we sell. We protect people from dying too soon, living too long, and protecting assets if they get sick or hurt. That's really what the products that we do and what I provide. In closing, I want to share a story with you as far as that significance and being that advocate. Back in '95, I had the opportunity, Maureen, you'll appreciate this, North Platte, Nebraska. Drove 21 miles north into the Sandhills, came back on Highway 92, Rusty and Jan. To find their place, they said as you come down 92, go 5.5 miles, you'll see 2 mailboxes on the south side of the road. When you see the 2 mailboxes, you know you need to turn. I'm turning, going across a cattle guard, and there's nothing except for this path. And they said, come on, that's the direction you need to go. No cell phones, no cell service if there was. And I find after a couple miles driving up there, we end up at their ranch. Sat down and they greeted me with coffee. They greeted me with some cake, and we had a conversation about their insurance needs. I fast forward to 1998, and I get a phone call at Thanksgiving. And Rusty's in the hospital because of cancer. Shortly after Christmas of that year, of the next year, I get a phone call from Jan, and she says he's passed away. At that point, that was a difficult situation because we took out a check to them. And it wasn't what the policy did, but what it did for them. It paid off the farm and the ranch, it provided a grandchild to go to college, and it provided an income for that spouse. And so that's really what we do as a life of significance. Thank you.